I've been pondering on cycle breaking for a while now and thinking through what it means to be a cycle breaker. And so it's essentially what a cycle breaker is so you see certain patterns that come from your great grandparents to your grandparents to your parents and then to yourself. And well, some people don't see those patterns, but it's important to ask, kind of like ask through your family tree, like go to the village and just kind of like have a book and say, okay, so tell me about, and start like from the fifth generation behind. And ask questions like, how did we get into this village? Like, why do we live in this village? And you'll find out interesting things. I mean, people move for various reasons to come and settle in a particular place. The other day, and that's what they call mapping, right? Spiritual mapping. So the other day we were spiritual mapping with a friend of ours, and they found out actually that her great grandparents moved into the place that they were because the dad, the man at that time, had been accused of theft and he was chased from the village. And so they ran away in the middle of the night because he was going to get lynched. And so he ran away from the village, and then him with his wife and children, and settled somewhere. And now, many decades later, that's why their village is where it is. But it could explain why, even at work, she was being blamed for thefts that were going on. There was a link, not just her parents, her grandparents, her great-grandparents. There was a streak of being blamed for a theft that has happened. So you need to break that cycle. There can be a streak of wealth, but then it stops somewhere. Not being able to have the first child, not being able to have a boy child, not being able to have a girl child, polygamy. There could be streaks, something that, and it might not be one, it could be many. And then you who's doing that mapping become the cycle breaker. Recently, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine who said that she had never understood. I mean, I talked about cycle breaking on one of the episodes of Bump Love. If you're not following us on Bump Love, now is the time for you to go onto YouTube, search Bump Love, and follow us. And she shared with me that she'd never realized how big that cycle breaking is until she had listened to that episode in the week that her cousin had passed away. Now, why was that so important for her? She realized during the burial, they were having a conversation, and guess what? People knew that for generations before, every generation, the boy of the family was born one in the family, and then there were various attempts to his death. Like they would have many girls but have one boy. But that's the one who's a sickler, that's the one who's getting accidents, that one. And she said that during the burial, the time that they were burying that boy, that man, he'd not had a boy child yet. When you think about it, when you find out the streak, you who has found it out, you actually become the one responsible to break that cycle. And let me tell you something about breaking cycles. You don't have luxury. For who the cycle should stop, you don't have the luxury to not do well. If you realize that in your family there's a streak of poverty, you have to break that cycle. You don't have the luxury to not save. You don't have the luxury to not have work. You don't have the luxury to shout and quarrel with your boss. When you see that there is a theft going on in office and everybody is a part of it, because you're aware that that's a cycle you're breaking, you don't have the luxury to be a part of that, because guess what? Immediately you do. Then you're the one who's found out, then you're the one who's arrested, and then you're the one who's, all the wealth that you've put together has been removed from you. Now you have fallen into the trap of that streak. If you have a cycle that you have to break from your family, just remember, you don't have the luxury. Welcome to the WhatsApp group of those of us who don't have luxuries. We are many that are working to break cycles, who don't have the luxury. See you in the WhatsApp group.